And we're live now.
Thank you. So welcome to our viewers. Please, we're just doing a few things in the background and we'll be with you in a couple of minutes.
Kuti tinoda chamisa ngwatiyoi, isu tinoda chamisa ngwatiyoi, isu tinoda nero ngwatiyoi, isu tinoda nero ngwatiyoi, ndati tinoda wechidiki ngwatiyoi, isu tinoda wechidiki ngwatiyoi, ndati tinoda chamisa ngwatiyoi, isu tinoda chamisa ngwatiyoi, imi vaudei kuti ngwatiyoi, ndati vaudei kuti ngwatiyoi. Varipo vanenzeve ndati vasinganzwe, ndati vaudze vanzwisise. Varipo vane meso ndati vasingaoni, imi vaudze muvaonese. Ndati tinoda nero nguva ndiyoi, isu tinoda nero nguva ndiyoi, isu tinoda chamisa nguva ndiyoi, isu tinoda chamisa nguva ndiyoi. Ndati vaudze kuti nguva ndiyoi, ndati vaudze kuti nguva ndiyoi, ndati vazivise kuti nguva ndiyoi, ndati vaudze kuti nguva
Thank
ndiyoi.
you. We're ready to start now. Thank you so much for the support, Leader Estella, in the background. So welcome to all our viewers and our listeners. We're so delighted for you to join us tonight as we discuss hot issues affecting Zimbabweans in the UK. And we are here to talk about the detentions and deportations of people with British children who are being torn apart from their families by Priti Patel, and that is unacceptable. The Home Secretary's hostile immigration policy that started with Theresa May and the shock by the FCDO leaked letter that we have seen. So we are looking forward to hearing so much from our guests this evening. We are joined by the chair of the MDC Alliance UK and Ireland, Mr. Chamburuka, and also the Secretary for International Relations in the MDC Alliance UK and Ireland Province, Mr. Stanford Biti. So welcome to both of you. Very delighted to have you on the program today.
It's our pleasure.
Thank you.
Pleasure to be with you tonight.
Thank you. So just a little refresher about the program, because we always like to let our viewers know who we are. We discuss trends in politics from a local, national, and global perspective, including celebrating successes, discussing challenges faced, and also hearing inspirational stories about those standing in the gap, fighting for freedom in Zimbabwe, as well as those playing their part, supporting the case for change from the diaspora. And we hope by listening or watching, you too will be inspired to take an interest in politics and to participate in some way, for example, through activism, through sharing, through supporting those back home and encouraging them to go and vote. So thank you. And I think just to kick us off, we had Mr. Chamburuka last week on the show. So welcome back. But before we get into the crust of the matter, I just wanted to come to Mr. Biti and just to ask you to tell us a little bit about your role as Secretary for Relations international relations in the UK?
Thank you, Patricia, and our valued listeners at home. I am currently the Portfolio Secretary of International Relations, MDC Alliance. I liaise, engage within the United Kingdom with the different organizations, ministries, and I also feedback to the province, and the province also take back matters back home. Sit in a number of panels. I'm also a chief executive officer of charitable organization, which aims to end destitution within the immigration system. We are also affiliated to No Accommodation Network. Currently, where I live as well, which is down in Southend-on-Sea, my local MP is James Dadridge, who is also currently the Minister of Africa. So there is quite a lot of engagement which I've been doing. There is quite a lot of soliciting which I've been doing, working on behalf of Zimbabweans per se. What any Zimbabwean is actually going through at the moment, particularly within the immigration system, it is my lived life experience. I've gone through it, and I would never want anybody to suffer the same way. So I am an expert by experience in terms of the UK draconian immigration system.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Biti. That's a wonderful roundup of your introduction and your expertise within the area of immigration and also supporting people seeking asylum in the UK. And we know that the draconian laws that have been introduced in the country are impacting the very vulnerable in a really, really bad way. But just coming to you, Mr. Chair, Chamburuka, you were here last week. Glad to have you back. So what can you tell us about being the chair of the UK and Ireland province? What do you do and how do you help your members, particularly within the UK and Ireland?
Thank you very much, Leader Patricia, for having me again this week. As you know, I am the provincial chair of UK and Ireland. Our job is critical in terms of how we support. We don't only support our members per se, but we support the Zimbabweans in general. For we know that when we support a person, the saying which my mother said, if you feed a woman a nation, you have fed the whole nation. So which we take that notion from there. If we are actually helping every Zimbabwean, we have got our statistics they tell us here, Mr. Stanford, Biti, working closely with the Commonwealth, they gave us information that we are almost about 400 to 500 Zimbabweans. So if we can tap into 400 out of the 400, if we can have 20,000 Zimbabweans, 20,000, each one contributing a minimum of 20 pounds a month for 20,000, we are already more than 500,000 pounds. So we are targeting that. I'm sure our organizing secretary is working tirelessly to make sure that we recruit as many Zimbabweans and so that we have our contributions to support the party. Leader Patricia, you are very aware that our President Chamisa is on record and saying, let's go and register to vote, and we dwell on the membership of our people. Zimbabwe government is a tyrant government. They tried to shrink and make sure that our president and our party, MDC Alliance, does not have any contribution. We know that the constitution of Zimbabwe is very clear. It gives a clear portion of the MDC Alliance as the main opposition party in Zimbabwe. But what they do, they slept with the enemy. Douglas Monzora Mutengesi, he is the one who has been given all that portion. Yes, we have to fight another day. We can only fight through the polls. We are encouraging everyone to go and vote. The more people we have in the diaspora, be it in America, be it in South Africa, be it in America, Australia, the Middle East, Germany. If we have at least 20,000 people, I bet you the State House will be around the corner. I come back again to your question: how do we support? We engage with the British government. We know that tomorrow there is a plane which has been destined to take our Zimbabwean people. MDC involved, members of the church involved, and the ordinary Zimbabweans, innocent people, leaving their families here. We have fought frantically to make sure that doesn't happen, regardless of whether it's an MDC member or an MDC member. I will come back to that at a later stage, but briefly, we are working frantically behind the scenes with myself and the executive and the like-minded people in the Tory government and the Labour government. I'll end here, but I'll be contributing more to give you the nitty-gritties of how we are actually doing without mentioning names and without actually going too much into finer details for confidentiality. Back to you, Leader CHINYOKA.
Thank you so much for that. So what I'm hearing is that the MGC Alliance within the UK Island is supporting not just its membership, but more broadly, all Zimbabweans that need the support of the party. They are welcome, they are open, and you are there to support them. And that also some of those numbers and figures that you highlighted there around that, if there are more people that come forward and become supporters or join the party, that they would be able to be the ones that become the fundraisers, so to speak, to meet the needs of the MGC Alliance political party financial situation, because we know what has happened in the country. But just to come more specifically to the issue at hand, and I'm coming back to you, Mr. Biti. And so can you talk us through that leaked letter from the Foreign Commonwealth Development Office and that agreement with ZANU-PF that we all read about, that was on social media? And so what are the implications of what has been agreed between the FCDO and the government of Mnangagwa?
It's so painful that we are at such a situation with the UK government, particularly looking at what is happening back home and how Zimbabweans have lived in the United Kingdom. We have about 500,000 Zimbabweans in the United Kingdom. Of those 500,000, statistics show that 250,000 are likely to have some sort of social legal status. The other 250,000 do not have social legal status, and they did not come into United Kingdom illegally. They came into United Kingdom legally. Zimbabwe only became a visa country in 2003, towards 2003, in 2003, towards the end of 2003, 2004. So you could have been a Zimbabwean who's been here for 50 years, but with the current situation, if you have not regularized your stay, if you've not applied the asylum at some point, if you've not found a form of a visa, you are illegal. So some of the people who are liable for this deportation are people who've been here for over 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, people who came to study here, but thought that they are well settled in the United Kingdom. But what does that entail? Deporting a person. We need to understand the statutes of international law. We also need to understand that UK has got an obligation for Zimbabweans here in the United Kingdom and Zimbabweans back at home. Zimbabwe is on history. It's a well-known that Zimbabwe is a pariah state. So first and foremost, you cannot deport any failed asylum seeker to Zimbabwe. So this is where we are. It is actually shocking that In 2019, September, Simon Kayamo came into United Kingdom trying to work out business deals between UK government and Zimbabwean government. But one of the conditions which was actually put on the table was that would-be failed asylum seekers should be redocumented and sent back to Zimbabwe. From 2019, my chairman, Mr. Chamburuka, and the MDC UK and Ireland province, we have never stopped fighting the redocumentation of undocumented Zimbabweans in the United Kingdom. Mr. Nyakocho, the one who is mentioned in the leaked document, was here in November. I accompanied over 20 Zimbabweans to his reporting center, and he knows what I did to him at the police station, and the arguments which are actually putting that it was illegal, what he was actually doing. So for the people he had invited in Southern Sea, he failed to interview them, particularly those whom we accompanied. We are surprised that this is a deal which would have ended in Zimbabwe. Now the UK government decided to end the deal in Zimbabwe. And understanding clearly all the political landscape in Zimbabwe, there's no way the FCO, the Foreign Common Office, there's no way the people working in Zimbabwe, UK in Zimbabwe, would agree that failed asylum seekers in Zimbabwe can be deported back to Zimbabwe because of the current political landscape. And history, statistics shows that when Zimbabwe is going towards a general election, violence escalates. Violence perpetrated by ZANU-PF against its opponents escalates. And this is the period where we are. What have we learned from the past? What is the United Kingdom learned from the past? And what precedents are they setting out? So it is actually shocking that 13 months before an election, United Kingdom thinks of deporting Zimbabweans back home. It stinks. The moral, it stinks, and it doesn't fit well with the international laws. One of the things which is actually so painful, most of the people, the 127 people we have identified so far who are actually in detention, they had at some point received a letter being invited to a reporting center for redocumentation by authorities from the Zimbabwean members. We know in immigration cases, the state becomes the perpetrator. In my case, I'm in exile. I left Zimbabwe running away from ZANU-PF persecution. So the state remains the perpetrator. Therefore, UK should not have allowed the perpetrator to come and interview Zimbabweans in United Kingdom. I hope I've touched a few things about the letter and why it is actually shocking that the United Kingdom would go into such a deal with the Zimbabwean regime.
Yes, and I think to your point around the state being a perpetrator, I mean, we see how it's playing out in Zimbabwe now, the human rights abuses. We have seen the state cup of our institutions. So when we think about the judiciary, think about the police, we think about every area of national institutions which are captured by the regime. And we see that anyone with a differing political view is arrested, is either abducted, they're charged, they are thrown into prison on frivolous charges. And we also know from previous records in the history is that people that often come from the diaspora back into Zimbabwe are deemed to be of a different political persuasion. And so this is quite shocking that the government of the UK could come to some of this agreement to remove people from this country. And also what is quite shocking is that we are in COVID. Zimbabwe is a red zone. And during this pandemic, it feels like a guise almost mirroring what the government of Zimbabwe has done, making decisions that took the most during this COVID time. And what would you say around trusting the UK government going forward? Because we do need to still work with them. We do need to still engage with them on these issues. What are your comments to that?
Is it to me or Mr. Chamburuka? Or
To
did I start?
I'll come to Mr. Chamburuka in a minute.
Okay. Right. I've been involved with the UK government on different levels. 2 weeks ago, I was in court with the barrister Siobhan. We're actually dealing with a matter concerning one of the Zimbabweans who was actually interviewed by Mr. Nyakocho, who is actually named in the letter. One of the issues which were key to the proceedings was, do we trust the UK government? Yes, we don't. Why would they allow a perpetrator to come and interview failed asylum seekers? It has never heard of. It has never been heard of. Yes, redocumentation is actually done. They could have actually said United Nations or UNHCR redocument these people. Or the United Kingdom, if they really wanted Zimbabwe to be redocumented, they should have used their own systems, which they have. They should have actually used the Home Office to validate people. So we do not trust them at this point, and we do not trust them with the Zimbabweans. We have over 40, 15, 60 different nationals living in the United Kingdom. Why Zimbabwe? Why during the middle of the COVID pandemic, where traveling within countries is actually sort of restricted? Why movement at the moment? So you never trust our UK government. It is hard to trust them. Even in the tactics which they play around in the courts, that we haven't read the document, we don't have a statement, we don't have a recording when you come into the courts, particularly where asylum seekers are actually dealing with their immigration matters. There are these deceiving, buying time and wasting time where a decision could actually be reached out in courts in a simple way, straightforward way, but they've got these tactics which have led us to have the United Kingdom having the FCO meet with the Zimbabwean authorities in Zimbabwe, and particularly making a decision that it is possible to deport Zimbabweans to a pariah state. So questions of trust will disappear. Questions of hope will disappear. And the voice of the victims is not in these decisions. It makes it difficult, which also the new immigration bill is actually pointing out that anyone can actually be deported before their appeal rights have been exhausted. So we cannot trust such a government, and we cannot trust such systems.
So it would feel as if we are going into deeper waters with the immigration, particularly having come out of the EU. It would feel that some of the protections would have fallen away. But I just wanted to remind our viewers that you are watching and listening to Change Radio, the Political Trends program. I'm Patricia CHINYOKA, your host. And with me are the MDC Alliance UK and Ireland Chair, Mr. Chamburuka, and the Secretary for International Relations, Mr. Stanford Biti. And I'm just going to come to you, Mr. Chamburuka. I just want to understand a little bit more about what you've been doing in the last week or so with regard to how you've been helping people that are in detention, and the support that you are giving behind the scenes.
Thank you very much, Leader Patricia. As a provincial chair, I work closely with the executive. I work closely with the people who are affected, especially our MDC members. I work closely with my local MP, Annalisa Dodds, who is a Labour stonechat, and she communicates very well with the Tory government in terms of these immigration issues. She has linked me as well with Kate Hoy, the Vauxhall MP for Labour. We know exactly what Kate Hoy has been doing in terms of supporting Zimbabweans going undercover in Zimbabwe. I shall not mention some of the MPs whom we are working with for confidentiality. They did not allow me to mention their names. I shall not go into details as well of the statistics, how we managed to get the statistics in detentions. We have got many of our Zimbabweans up to date up to the 17th on Saturday. We had a total of 117 Zimbabweans, including MDC members who have been detained in various detention centers in the UK. For us to know those numbers, these are the only statistics of non-Zimbabweans. But remember, we don't have the data nationally, like people who have been detained in Scotland, people who have been detained in Northern Ireland, people who have been detained in various parts of the UK. Our mall, which is very accurate, by the way, they've given us these statistics, and they've given us inroads to actually identify who are MDC members. I'm not at liberty to discuss how we managed to have these to identify who is a member of MDC. But as a member of MDC, it's very simple. You'd have subscribed to the website, and in the process of the people who are actually making their appeal, they are actually producing their evidence to the Home Office that look, I'm a member of MDC, and this is the proof. And when they produce that, we are getting that feedback again, and to confirm how this is a member. And to answer your question, how are you supporting? We are supporting our members by virtue of confirming that look, this is a member. The number which we are given by the authorities there, the Home Office, we then counter, say, Leader Chikosha, you are the Treasury. Can you confirm with Senator Coltart and Organ Chibaya if this person, that receipt number is actually valid in your books? The moment that number is confirmed, I then relate straight to their legal team. Their legal team relates straight to the Home Office to make sure that their appeal is activated. We also have been running around in terms of, I had a lot of phone calls and a lot of requests, especially when we identify that this one is a member. Remember, we have got a lot, 115 who have been identified as Zimbabweans. But most of our priority, my role as a chairman of MDC Alliance, Mutemo Nondisunga, and the law, actually our constitution is, I cannot confirm or represent anyone who is outside of the MDC. Yes, I can vouch for those people in terms of their character, if I know them, and I can go to, I've been asking, some people have been phoning me, then I can ask their church, their pastors, how is that character of that person? Then I can actually vouch for them that, look, I know this person is a Zimbabwean. I know he has got good character. I know that he is doing that based on the information which we are getting from them, from their local community and their local MPs and their pastors. But what is unique, what is critical, is to actually have that letter of support, which everyone in the UK knows is for free. I repeat, that letter is for free. When you subscribe to MDC and your name appears on the data of the people who have paid, what we then do, we confirm with Leader Chikosha and Mr. Mkuvengu, who are in the treasury. We don't end there. Sometimes people have paid through their branches. We communicate again to verify if those members have paid through their branches. I can tell you this: anyone who is MDC, anyone who is subscribed to MDC cause, who is a member, you are not alone. We'll fight for you up to the end. We have been going to the detention centers. Some we have gone there to take the keys of their houses, to go to drive along from Gatwick or from Heathrow, going up to the north to Doncaster, even to Luton, even to Sheffield, to make sure that we get that documentation which is needed by their legal team. We go there to unlock their houses, to make sure that that their documents are they've been taken to their legal team. It can be cumbersome, but that is what we have in heart for our people. Remember on the 17th, on the 12th of the 7th, Simon Kada, that former thug, the late foreign minister, the coup announcer, he came here, like Mr. Biti has already alluded, to actually have a deal which had started with Theresa May, but now it was consolidating that deal to say that all those undocumented and those who will be asylum seekers, then who must be deported to Zimbabwe. I hate Mugabe by passion, but Mugabe never accepted asylum seekers. He said, no, those people must stay there. Come, this idiot. Like his name comes with an ED. He comes and says, all those people must be, now let's make a pact deal, whether they're getting diamonds or whatever they're getting there. Obviously that they are benefiting. They said, now, let's have a pact deal there. We become friends. And the starting point now, we saw Mr. Biti unearthing some deals which have been made that people can come and authorizing a plane which can take our members there. Surely, after protest and after being attacked for his gross human rights abuses in Zimbabwe, confronted, especially by women in the UK, we have infiltrators in our structures, Leader CHINYOKA. It is well documented that our infiltrators, they come in different forms. We have got chairmen at all levels who sometimes they're infiltrators. Information is leaking to Zimbabwe. The CIO, they said, I quote, we will not rest until the perpetrators are brought to book. When they say we will not rest, now we see this thing happening. Yes, they meant it, that we will not rest. The information when all those people who were demonstrating on the 7th of on the 12th of August in 2019, God forbid, many pictures were taken by these CIOs. Among us, among people who perpetrate to be MDC members, who were in that in the mass protest of when SBMO came. Crucially, he himself, SBMO, he had his own security who were taking videos. Among these people who are in detention, yes, they were all Zimbabweans. They might not have been MDC, but on that particular day, we have got one common cause to be liberated in Zimbabwe. And these people were there. And who knows? The people who are actually in detention right now are facing to be deported tomorrow. Their pictures were captured by this tyrant regime. Are you sure that when they go to Zimbabwe with that picture, when their foreign minister was attacked, and I quote, we will not rest until all those people who embarrassed and attacked our foreign minister in the UK will be brought to book. All people. They did not say if you are a churchman. They did not say if you are Zapu. They did not say if you are Ro. They said all people. That includes our MDC people. That will include all Zimbabweans who are actually in detention right now. I've got good authority to tell you, Leader CHINYOKA, that of all the people whom I've had interaction on the phone and visiting in the detention centers, most of them, about 50%, attended that demonstration in their capacity as Zimbabwean nationals. So my heart bleeds for them. And we are working frantically. The moment a person who is in detention, if we have been told by him or direct signposting us to their neighbors or to their relatives, we have been able to actually take a phone, a mobile phone, because when these people sometimes when they are being taken, they are taken with smartphones, which are not allowed into the detention centers. And to answer your question, how much we have been helping in that way to make sure that they have communication with the outside world. Imagine if you are in a cell, you don't have communication with anybody. It's enough. It's bad enough to be in a cell. But when you don't have any communication with outside world, we have actually facilitated that. According to Article 3 of the Human Rights Act 1951, amended in 1987, it says everyone has got a right to have a fair trial. But you look at here, that Mr. Biti has already said, our members, our Zimbabwean nationals, they are just being taken without having a fair trial. What hypocrisy is that from the UK government? They say we are a democratic country, we actually uphold the rule of law, and yet they are the people who are the biggest oppressors, which we have seen in this mass detaining of people of color, especially from Zimbabwe, a case which they actually themselves caused. We will work tirelessly to work with them legal teams of our people and all Zimbabwe. And hopefully, when they are, should that plane be, we know that our MPs, our local MPs, we made noise with our MPs, and our MPs then lobbied with other MPs. They are frantically, they made noise yesterday, they made again noise here, again in Parliament to temporarily stop that plane tomorrow, so that all the people who are in that plane can be heard. And I will be answering more questions in the future, but I will end here for now, waiting for you to maybe Mr. Biti can add on to what I've said.
Yes, thank you so much. So what I've been hearing there is, the level of support for members of the MDC Alliance is much more specific, it's much more targeted, but in addition to that, you're also reaching out to those fellow Zimbabwean citizens and connecting them to their churches. And I know I've been hearing that people are phoning just to check in, because, people's welfare is at stake. I can just imagine their mental health and well-being of being just grabbed from home. So we know we had a message last week that there were drone raids done in Milton Keynes, in Bedfordshire, just around the country, as you said. And these individuals are family people. They have British children, they have families, they have settled, albeit not having a regularized stay in the UK, but they've built family life here. And so on that basis, we think it's unfair, it's wrong that this government would be working with ZANU-PF to remove those family people. And I just wanted to come back to you again, Mr. Biti. But before we do that, Leader Estella, are there any comments that have been made? I'm conscious we haven't asked for comments to be read. And I'd asked for a dial-in just in case people wanted to dial in. But I wanted to check if we have any comments, because I can't see any on here.
Would you like me to explain where you can click to see the comments, or shall I just flag them on the screen?
If you flag them on the screen, please, just a few comments that we can engage. So there's time mark. All I remember is last elections when innocent protesters were shot and killed by soldiers on the streets of Harare. Does no one care? Was anyone held accountable? That's the very big question, Tai. So we care. That's why we are here. That's why we are talking about these issues. That's why we are saying it is unacceptable. It is wrong. And it goes against the human rights and the law to deport people from this country who are perceived to have a different political affiliation into the hands of a government that is going to harass them, that is going to persecute them. And these individuals have families. And when we talk about, what we've been seeing in Zimbabwe since the 2017 coup has been an escalation of human rights abuses. That is unacceptable. And I know that the MDC Alliance Political Party are working really, really hard to make sure that we have a new government in 2023. But it's just not to the MDC political party to do that. We need everyone on board. So citizen convergence for change. Agenda 2021 is calling to everybody to come together, to unite, to work, because we can't people, just a couple of people, a few individuals can't free Zimbabwe. We need everyone on board. And Kennedy says, yes, serious due process provisions being violated by the British government. And I think that we do agree to that. And I know that Mr. Biti has spoken to that. So did you want to comment on that one, Mr. Biti, the provisions being violated by the British government?
I want people to understand that in the whole world, we've got about 65 million refugees. 14% of that 65 million is in Europe. 3% of the 14% in Europe is United Kingdom. So basically what I'm saying, in terms of protection, in fact, before I go to my statement, is that the biggest chunk of the refugees, which is the almost about 80% of refugees are in Central Africa. They are in Africa. What happens if the countries around Central Africa behaves the same way as the United Kingdom is behaving? It is actually quite unfair. So we'd look at the new immigration bill. We'd also want to look at why isolate countries. One law works for Zimbabwe, the other law doesn't work for Mauritius. One law works for Pakistanians, the same law doesn't work for Zimbabweans. So the laws which they are actually using and the new bill, it's actually discriminatory, and it's actually racist. We have been talking a lot about it, that the bill which they've actually put in place, we are going to attack it left, right, and center. And the systems in the United Kingdom are not working.
And James is saying,
right,
defend your people, you can do it. So that's a message to you.
Right. So I wanted to add on to what Mr. Chamburuka has been talking about, what the MDC, UK and Ireland have been doing for our people, defending our people. From day one, since we received the redocumentation letters, we have been fighting this. I've been into several courts, into several government corridors, and several meetings. Last week, when we got the news that a good number of Zimbabweans have been detained, Mr. Chamburuka knows that my office opens at 2 a.m. in the morning. 5 a.m. he called me, he gave me instructions what to do. I did exactly what he'd asked me to do. By midday on Tuesday, I think so, we had identified 8 people who were detained through social media and things of that sort, but they had no representation on the ground. There was no evidence on the ground. And one of the biggest important matter which Mr. Chamburuka insisted is one, due diligence, and why UK government wants to deport Zimbabweans and what is going to happen after this flight is gone. So this flight is only there to set precedent that it will be easy to deport any Zimbabweans. So it is in our right as every Zimbabwean, that we should not allow the plane to leave tomorrow. And this is what we have been working on. And this is how the team of barristers we are working on. Here we are not looking at the MDC, is not looking at an individual case, but is it looking at a case which is going to affect every Zimbabwean, including people who've got limited leave to remain. Within 2 years, 3 years, you won't be able to renew them because the British government will be actually saying that Zimbabwe is safe. By right, Zimbabweans are 30 British nationals. Remember that you were the last colony of Britain, the last colony of the empire. So it is actually upset to actually say that you deport a Zimbabwean. Surprisingly, English teachers teaching in Zimbabwe are called expatriates. When I actually come into the United Kingdom as a qualified teacher from Zimbabwe, I'm told I'm an immigrant. And this is what the bill is actually saying. And it is all discriminatory. So what we should defend and what we are going to defend is not the cases of the 127 people who have been detained, who are due to be deported tomorrow morning. What we're defending, what is going to come after when we've allowed that plane to go. This is where what we are doing behind the scenes, with the barristers, with the solicitors, which we are working with. Yes, it is important that I am sure at the moment that the plane might not leave tomorrow. But if the plane leaves tomorrow, it's a tsunami. The Zimbabweans, we are going to be rounded off like rats. We left home when home was the barrel of a gun. We left home when home was a war zone. And since we left home, nothing has changed. Things have got worse politically, and Zimbabwe is going towards a general election. This is uncontested in courts. That is Zimbabwe, when it is actually going towards a general election, violence escalates. ZANU-PF, violence against the opponents escalates. So at the moment, it is unacceptable, and we will not allow the United government to let that plane fly out tomorrow. We have the support of the UK Parliament. We've actually told Priti Patel to actually reverse a decision that that plane should leave for Zimbabwe tomorrow.
Thank you so much for that. And
Then one other thing which I also wanted to say, Patricia, which has just come in. It's such a sad story about the asylum seekers in the United Kingdom. You'd find that within the legal system or within the asylum system, when somebody's actually going through the processes, there's so much abuse from solicitors, from people who purport to be helping you, and the society and the system. We are quite sure what happens to people who would be deportees, what happens to them when they get into Zimbabwe. We hardly know where they go because it is the state which is going to receive them. And we don't know what punishment they would get. So it is our fear, and it is our fear that we should never allow any Zimbabwean to be deported. We challenge the UK government, if they can evidence it, that this is a person who was deported from United Kingdom, and this is where he is in Zimbabwe. Most of the people who have been redocumented or who have been invited for the interviews, we know they've got dual diagnosis, induced mental health. For the charity which I work for, we know where there is every immigration application, there's anxiety and mental health, which makes these clients a flight risk, and it is against their human rights that you put them in a plane or you would attempt to deport them. We currently have about 6 houses housing failed asylum seekers. It is indeed a sad story, of their lives, of what they're going through, and worse off at the moment where they face deportations. They will not survive in Zimbabwe. They will not survive to leave the accommodation and go into a plane. Right now, it's like we have a funeral in our accommodation, and these are people who are on a treatment, particularly from induced mental health. Immigration, the asylum process in the UK is the worst draconian system in the world. There's no illegal person in the United Kingdom, and there's no person who comes into the United Kingdom illegally. You come in with some form of a visa, but you become an overstayer. When you become an overstayer, you're not illegal. You are not illegal. And then you can only claim asylum when you are inside the United Kingdom. The number of people who are actually coming through Calais, through France, if the United Kingdom was doing its obligation, there's no person who would leave Cuba, would leave Tunisia to cross into Europe. All the people, when they cross into Europe, they go into Italy. Why would Italy actually say that this is what happens in Italy? In Italy, you are asked, where do you want to go? People would say that we want to go to United Kingdom, because United Kingdom is not meeting its obligations in Europe. It's not supporting the immigration system in structures in Europe. It's not paying its tithes to work around immigration. So this is why everyone moves down here, because the systems are allowing the flow. So why should we be punished, the Zimbabweans who came in here through the air? And most of us, we came here when Zimbabwe was a non-visa country. Why should I be legal when I've been in the United Kingdom for over 40 years and I've got a family? It is so painful and will not allow the deportations.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And I think just going back to the comment you made about the government of the UK, the Zimbabwean government, I guess, and in cahoots with the British government, setting a precedence. So if this goes ahead, then we'll be seeing plain lords of Zimbabweans, even those on limited leave to remain, being refused, being separated from their families. I can just imagine the people being returned, as I mentioned at the beginning of the program, that they have families here and they have children. And I read in The Guardian today of a 27-year-old who arrived in this country when he was 7 years old. So, you know, what happened to the 10-year rule, the 20-year rule? So all those different types of provisions seem to have changed, because they should have been documented. 20 years later, this individual went to school here, primary school, secondary school, and you know, they should take that into account. And I imagine for those who might be removed tomorrow, arrive in Zimbabwe on the 22nd, they will have no homes to go to. They will probably have no families, no money, nowhere to sleep. And the high rates of suicides by people that are removed from the country or deported is quite high. I mean, I don't have the statistics to hand, but these are stories that we hear from within our communities, that people end up with serious mental health issues. Yes, Mr. Biti.
What I want every Zimbabwean who is in the United Kingdom and who is back home, where you have one Zimbabwean in the United Kingdom, he's supporting 10, 20 families. Zimbabwe is running on our remittances. Zimbabwe is running on the money which are sending you, our relatives, back home. So it is going to be cruel. Not for the people who are being deported. The people who are going to suffer are the people whom we are looking after at home. So every Zimbabwean who's actually going to be home, we should fight that Mnangagwa should not allow these planes to come in. Mugabe was clever. He did it deliberately in a way that he lives on the remittances. That's why he kept on saying to the United Kingdom that those asylum seekers, those are my children. Keep them in the United Kingdom. We don't want them here simply because of the remittances. This is where you actually see that sometimes going to school, sometimes understanding mathematics, simple mathematics as a layman, that when you buy a sweet with the 5p which costs 3p, you should get change 2p. This is what Mnangagwa doesn't have. This is where it shows that the current government is rotten, does not have intelligence. It knows very well that it is surviving on remittances, and it allows deportations to go ahead at the moment. So as a matter of principle, Zimbabweans, fight for bread and butter, go and register, and fight this regime, the current regime, which we have in Zimbabwe. It is our bread and butter. This is a bread and butter issue. Every Zimbabwean we have here, we know them, they work hard, they remit money, they send money back home. They send, and most of the people, they don't even enjoy the money which they're working. We send it all home for your comfort, not for our comfort. Guys, I want to tell you, diaspora is not easy. It's not easy. If you find a person who would actually tell you that I'm now putting in a picture frame, or I'm now pinning up a picture frame in my house with my picture, with my face, it is not easy, diaspora. Being in exile, it's not easy. I hardly spent 200, 300 pounds on myself. But when there's a funeral, when it is month end, I spend more than what I use. I send money home more than what I use here, more than my rent, more than my expenses here. And this is like every Zimbabwean who is actually here. Guys, some places where we work, some of the jobs which you do here, it's not by choice, but it is for the love of our country. Love us too. Tell Mnangagwa that we will not accept these deportations.
Yes. And you're quite right there, Mr. Biti, is that, we work so hard, and, people are doing long shifts, and that money is going back home to pay for school fees, to pay, we are running Zimbabwe basically from the diaspora with the money that we give. Before I go to Chair Chamburuka, Mr. Masia has written in another comment there. In the event that the deportations go through as a party, are we prepared to protect our members using various legal means in Zimbabwe? With the advent of the patriotic bill, that's another story for another day. That's a big issue, which is not yet law, but is coming, and that seeks to muzzle people, that seeks to stop us from talking about these issues that we're talking about today. It will stop us from challenging and holding the Mnangagwa administration to account. So because ZANU-PF might use the shenanigans to arrest our members. So I'm conscious of our time, and as we begin to wrap up on our program today, I'm going to come to you, Mr. Chamburuka, just to ask you for your last words. What are your last words to the viewers, to the listeners, and also to how can people join the MDC Alliance movement?
Thank you very much, Leader Patricia. But before I go to your question, it's important to answer Mr. Kenneth Masia about what we do as MDC in preparation of the people who are being deported, regardless of this patriotic bill. MDC Alliance is a democratic party. It does not only favor to identify or to contribute to people who are only being deported. Remember, already we have got human rights lawyers who are representing the 3 girls who have been abducted and tortured. They are representing all people who are being put in prison in Zimbabwe without trial. So it is not only the people who are coming from diaspora. I want to be very clear. We are a broader party which identifies the people, poor people who are being arrested and detained without trial. So the people who are coming from the UK are no exception. The MDC has already been doing it in Zimbabwe. When these people go into Zimbabwe, it is a process which is ongoing, but it's not only being because people have been coming from. I wanted to clarify that issue. In the terms of what we are doing, we will continue to do that. However, my advice to from what
I think we can't hear you properly. And
can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Good. Yeah. So my advice.
Yes, we can. And Leader Estela, I'm hearing that there's a lot of noise in the background. The viewers are saying there's a lot of noise in the background. I don't know how we can correct that noise.
Actually, the noise, when I mute Mr. Chamburuka, the noise stopped. So I think it might be
So
me.
maybe
So,
I'm in the garden. Shall I maybe if I can go in the house? Maybe there's a lot of echo. Let me
Yes,
just go
there's
in
a
the
lot
house.
of noise. Yeah.
Let me try to go in the house. I was in the garden. Let me see if the noise is much better. Is the noise much better now?
Yes. Yes.
Is it better now?
Yeah.
yes.
My apologies for that. I was in the garden, so I'm now in a contained room. Anyway, for the purpose of the progress of our members and the who be members, what I would advise and urge everyone to curb this targeting and racist attitude of the British government. Let's have don't put a full stop to your cases. I urge you members and any would-be members and all Zimbabweans, because what I'm hearing is some people that waited to the last minute that I'm still gathering. I was going to do this, and on the last day when people were now then taken to them, raided, or on their report, when they reported at the police station, there was no fresh claim. There was no anything to show whatever, whether there's a student or whatever they were doing, they were dormant. They were not doing anything. Let's put a comma. Approach your legal team. Join an MDC. I'm the MDC chairman, of course. I would not say go to apostle when I'm a Roman Catholic priest. Of course, I would advocate that. Remember, in my opening remarks, I said we have got this information that we have got 500, over 500 people in the UK. Surely, if we have about 40,000, 20,000 people supporting MDC Alliance at the minimum of 20 pounds, $20, I'm sure democracy through Advocate Chamisa will be prevailing in Zimbabwe. Yes, we can do it as Zimbabweans. Let's support each other as Zimbabweans. Whatever everyone is doing to support a Zimbabwean, forget about the political affiliation. Forget about what that person has done. Even that is what is being used by the British government, that they are criminalizing this issue. They're saying, oh, we are only deporting criminals. That is a damn lie. That's the total lie. All what they are trying to do is to create numbers, but in the name of these are criminals. These are liars. They are already working consortium with the Zimbabwe government in the name of criminals. To be a refugee is not a criminal. There's no criminality in actually seeking protection for your life. There's nothing criminal about that. But let's be smarter, ladies and gentlemen, my fellow Zimbabweans. Let's be smarter. Let's not wait until the last minute. Let's have fresh claims. Let's have something in the process, in the system. So much that, according to Article 3 of the Human Rights Act, everyone has got a right for that case to be heard. Let's not give them things that they can actually use or not, that are, after all, you've exhausted. Even if you have exhausted, just put another one. Keep on. So that at least we have, on the legal side, we are protected. And on the social side, we continue to push our agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, as myself as a provincial chair, I urge you to go to MDC website. Donations are welcome. Of course, we'd like as many members, but donations, we are welcome all donations. MDC have been staffed in Zimbabwe. We have been put in a corner, but that corner together, it needs me and you. Advocate Chamisa will be the president of Zimbabwe 2023. But he cannot do it alone. We have got the power of our finance here. If every one of us, when we send money, like Mr. Biti have said, we send 200, when he cannot even spend the 200 on his own here, same like anyone else. But before, when we send that money to Zimbabwe, we have got the power of financial support. That, okay, Muzukuru wangu ndakutumira. I've sent you this man. But before you spend it, can you go and register to go and vote? Register. Then you send to another 10 pounds air money. My brother, before I give you, go and give me confirmation that you have registered. If 500 of us, 500,000 of us institute that, out of the 500, if we get 250 or 200,000, that we are actually advocating, go and register, go and register, go and register. I think it will go a long way. As MDC, thank you very much for having me today. I'm sure you'll be having me again. I'll be very much to come and advocate for our MDC cause. We want to work together with all organizations. We don't discriminate. Remember, anyone who does anything to make a Zimbabwean smile, that is what MDC was born. MDC in 99 was born of all these civic societies, born of all students' unions, born of the poor, born of all color, regardless of color and creed. That is my remarks. Thank you very much, Leader CHINYOKA.
Thank you so much for that. I think what I've been hearing through those comments are Agenda 2021. So at the beginning of this year, the MDC Alliance President Nelson Chamisa talked about citizens' convergence for change. That's Agenda 2021. This is bringing everyone together to work together in order to create the change that we want. The more we are, the more powerful our voices will be to create that change. And I'm just going to read a comment by Given, who's asking whether the British government has a legal aid. Yes, the British government has all of that. They have legal provisions, but they don't always adhere to those. They have targets of removing people from this country, and so they work to those targets. And in order to achieve those targets, so this is a big political game. So we haven't gone into the political side of all of this. So any government that comes into power, particularly the current government in the UK, they are always seeking to live up to their elections promises. So this is where they promise the electorate that we are going to reap X number of foreigners from this country back to their country. So this is what they're trying to implement. So it's a big political matter here as well. So there are charities, and as Mr. Biti said, he also runs a charity that looks after asylum seekers. There's so much that goes on, but once they've made their mind to do these things, they usually go ahead and do them regardless of the impact that it has on those people that are being removed. Now, to you, Mr. Biti, just any last words that you have for our viewers and listeners, and anything else that you'd like to share that you haven't already.
I want to reiterate that if any Zimbabwean who is in the United Kingdom, if you do the right thing, you will regularize your stay. It is not a criminal thing. We are not running out of time, but let's make use of the opportunity. Whatever happens tomorrow, I'll try to find a reputable law firm. Find us through the MDC UK and Ireland. They will direct you either to the charity which I work for, or will direct you to a sister charity who also assists failed asylum seekers, or who would be asylum seekers. Don't just go to any solicitor. It is important that you use reputable solicitors, and reputable people would also protect you from abuse within the immigration system. That's yes, there's quite a lot which you can do as Zimbabweans. There's quite a lot which you can do to submit something to the Home Office. Not just something which will assist you to regularize your stay. And one thing which I want to say to Zimbabweans, us being in the United Kingdom, it's not about the asylum. It is about the change we wish for in Zimbabwe. We are fighting the regime in Zimbabwe. So even when you come to join the MDC, don't come to join the MDC as a pedestal to regularize your stay. We are joining MDC to fight the ZANU-PF regime back in Zimbabwe.
And thank you so much, Nati. I think that's really important, that every Zimbabwean in this country, including your family members, is, that call to action is thinking about how you can support the work of what we need to do to change Zimbabwe from the diaspora. And I can see comments there about donations, for those people that are being deported. So, for any of those that go back to Zimbabwe, they're going to probably need support. And as a political party, we would be looking to do that. For those that are currently in detentions, they need money. They need money for their phones. They just need money to make phone calls, to keep in contact with others, to continue those conversations with their solicitors. I'm assuming that some don't have money to pay their solicitors. So there's all of those things that we can all pull together as Zimbabweans to support those that are in detention in so many different ways. You can write your MP, calling on your MP to write or to speak or to bring it up in Parliament that those deportations must stop. We cannot have any Zimbabwean, whatever the case, being sent back to a country where they will suffer persecution. On the morning that they arrive, they will all be carted off to some prison, to some place where they'll be under surveillance, where they'll be treated really badly. And we really can't have that. And someone was talking about what's the situation regarding COVID-19 outbreak in the detention centers. I think that those detention centers are working to that, and people are isolating. And that's another clear case that you can't have so many people within a confined space because we haven't got over COVID yet. Infections are still on the rise. The deaths might have gone down, but we are still at great risk. Now, I just wanted to find out from Chair Chamburuka if you have any last words to say to our viewers, and then we can conclude our program.
Yes, Leader CHINYOKA. Like I've already said, as a provincial chair, we embrace everyone, every Zimbabwe, from all corners of the country. If you have any of your relatives or anyone whom you know who is detained, or even after tomorrow, right now we are working frantically with the legal teams and behind the scenes. But as this regime, but I'm very confident that that plane is not going to depart tomorrow. Should it depart, then it will be a black day for us, because it will have set precedence, like Mr. Biti has already said. But regardless of that, should you know anyone who is going through such predicament, they are not alone. MDC, we are here. We are here to listen, to assist, to be part of you. Don't be afraid. It's for free. The moment you pay your subscriptions, everything is free. We will support you through the whole process. We will make sure that you have got a lawyer. We will make sure that you have got all the utensils which you need to make sure that your whatever you claim, or we cannot put words into your mouth, but we will support you. The whole process. This Biti is the international relations. We have got a very brilliant team in our executive, from branch, district, and the province. Please, let's support the cause. Join MDC. Join MDC. And I can assure you, we will not falter you. If the many people in the United Kingdom and the world over contribute a minimum of £20 every month coming to 2023, we know we should be able to financially. The Mnangagwa regime, the ZANU-PF evil, that evil government, they've made sure that the opposition is starved. They've taken away this bill, which constitutes that as opposition, we've got a part of our money which MDC Alliance has been given. Yes, they've given it to Monzora and his team as an extension of ZANU, but that is not going to deter us. You and me, I repeat, you, our members, you Zimbabwean people who are craving for democracy, for you to be in the United Kingdom, for you to be in the diaspora, it is not because of your wish. We were all displaced. Tomorrow, if Zimbabwe is free, I'm sure we will all be in the plane. This plane which is being deporting our fellow Zimbabweans. When Zimbabwe is free, It will not be a plane of deportation. It will be a plane of people who are volunteering, me, you, and yourself, and our families, to go and live better life. We are in captivity here, not because of our liking. Thank you very much, Leader CHINYOKA.
Thank you so much. So we have now come to the end of our program. As you can hear, we've run over time, so my apologies to our guests. I'd like them to come back again, so I don't want to scare them. But the last call to action is help with donations for those who are in detention. Reach out, phone, find out their needs so that they can get the help that they need. Write your MP. Get in contact. There's a telephone number there. Please do write that telephone number and get in contact. In terms of how we can support back home, please join up to the MDC Alliance Party. Get together with others. Citizens Convergence for Change is really important that we can unite and work together. Please pray. So all Christian groups, please pray for tomorrow's flight to be stopped. Join protests, sign petitions, because if that plane leaves, it will have set a precedence. And what will happen is that the British government will do this over and over again. So thank you so much to our viewers. Thank you for being patient with us. Please do come back again next Tuesday to the Political Trends program with Patricia CHINYOKA, your host, and my guests for today, Mr. Biti and Mr. Chamburuka. Thank you. And thank you so much to Lisa and Stella in the background for all the tech support. Good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you for having us.